Um, so your Secret Garden relaxation script. So this is one of the scripts. I only gave you 3 different scripts. But there are, like I mentioned in the past weeks, there are so many out there. There are any YouTube videos. I know that Shirley said that she found a couple on YouTube to use. If you use my Spotify, which I've noticed a few of you using, and I love that, you're finding some of those by Sada, and I just added Sada. I just added some to the bottom of the playlist too. I found a few more that I really like. So if you're using those, check those out. I added a few more on. Those are really great ones to use, but the longest I have of those are 9 minutes long. So this is a little bit longer, and I really like to use this one with kids, and it's a very powerful one because they create a very safe place for them to go to. And then this is a place that you can have them visit over and over and over again. So if there are certain kids that you're working with that need to have that special place, and they need to have that secure area that they can create and control, this is a great tool to use with them. I found that when I was in the classroom, this was a great thing that when I taught 5th grade, it was a great thing to use with 5th graders. I never used it with 1st graders, but I think, Shirley is in the 2nd grade classroom, and you found that you're still 2nd grade, right? That was a really great thing to use. So I used some of the shorter ones in the past, but a longer one you used was 20 minutes, did you say? 30, but we can do 10 minutes. To 10 minutes? Okay, so sticking with the shorter ones. But this is a great one to use. Did anybody have anything they wanted to share from their experience with the Secret Garden at all? Anybody fell asleep? Or think you fell asleep? It's okay, you can be honest. It's a Monday. So utilizing these guided relaxations can be a really powerful tool, whether it's with your voice or with a recorded voice. I find that with children, it's really nice when they hear your voice all day long, especially if you're a K through 5th grade teacher, when they hear your voice and your voice alone all day, it's really nice for them to hear it change. So putting on a recording is a really nice thing to do because then they're hearing someone else guide them into relaxation. It's not that same voice that's telling them to, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, not telling them to line up, clean their desk. It's a different voice. So sometimes it can help them to fall into that relaxation a little bit easier. So utilizing some of those. Has anybody found any other guided relaxations that they've found outside of what I have given you that they've used in the classroom?
GoNoodle has
GoNoodle.
there's one with the rainbow visualization. So for preschool, it was nice because they could either close their eyes or keep them open.
And look at the rainbow. Awesome. GoNoodle was one. It's a rainbow visualization. So for preschoolers, they put it up and they're able to see it. They can either look at it or they can hear it. So GoNoodle, that's a really. Does anybody in here use GoNoodle? GoNoodle. First time I heard about that was a few years ago, because I was out of the classroom for a while when I started teaching at Loris, and all the kids were using GoNoodle for all their lesson plans. It's just like a go-to anymore, isn't it? Is it still like a huge thing in your classroom that you use? Everyone? No?
Brain breaks.
Brain breaks? We're using it for brain breaks. Okay. All right. Anyone else have any besides GoNoodle? No? No? Okay. All right. Well, let's turn to page 37 in your books where it says asanas. So last time we talked about what the word asana means, and that means pose. So when we say downward dog in Sanskrit, we say Adho Mukha Savasana, and all of them have asana or asana at the end of it, depending on how you want to say it. So that means pose. And the poses are only a part of the yoga practice, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, that there are 8 limbs of yoga, and just for your information to know. But asanas are a huge part of it, and especially what you're going to be doing in the classroom. There's 2 parts that you're mainly going to focus on, which are the asanas, or the asanas, and the pranayama, which is the breath. So we're going to hit on both of those. We're going to talk about all 8 limbs tonight, but we're really going to focus on the poses and the pranayama, so the breath and the poses. We're going to talk about the poses now, and then the pranayama at the end tonight, okay? So if you look at page 37, I have a lot of the poses categorized into 4 different areas, okay? So one of the areas is cooling and relaxation. So these poses, we're going to talk about each of these poses a little bit. They are categorized into more relaxing poses. So if you want the kids to be a little bit more relaxed and focused, these are some of the poses that you're going to choose to use. If you use them for a brain break or to stand up and move their bodies, these are some of the ones that you're going to use. Over to the right-hand side, you're going to see warming and energizing. So these are poses that tend to get your heart rate up a little bit more, to get your blood flowing, get your mind buzzing a little bit more with that heart rate. So those are some of the energizing ones. We're going to practice a few of those. And then the cooling and the concentrating ones. Those are ones that are a little bit more quieting again, but they're more focused, okay? And then the 4th corner is the warming concentration. So again, they get the heart rate up, but they're more focused as well. So let's go back to the cooling and relaxation. So I'm going to demonstrate just a few of them for you as we go through them. And if you'd like to do that with me too, you can. Feel free to move. We're going to do our salutations in a little bit. So the first one is, for cooling relaxation, is interlacing your fingers and pressing your palms away. And this is a great one for them to do when they're sitting in their chairs, is to interlace their fingers, press up and away. Now you can just have them pressing up and away, or they can bend from one side and back to center, and then back to the other side, and back to center, and then do that a couple times, back to center, and then going with their breath, looking up overhead, and then reaching down and touching their toes, and then slowly rolling up. Okay? And that can all be done in a seated position, so you don't have to get the kids out of their desks, stand them up. They can stay in their seats if it's just a quick one that you want them to do to help relax them. So that's a cooling and relaxing one. Mouse, which is child's pose. So mouse pose, you're going to see a lot in kids' literature. So if you go out and expand beyond this class, you're going to find that some of these yoga poses have different names. There are so many different ways that kids yoga is taught. For me, I think children need to be taught what the yoga pose is actually called. There are things that have other names, like mouse pose. You'll see in a lot of literature is child's pose. Well, kids, if their parents practice yoga, need to know the actual and real name of the pose, I believe. This is just my belief. There's no research behind that. But there will be someday. No, I'm just kidding. But I really strongly believe that they also need to know that name as well. So mouse pose is child's pose. So coming to your knees. And you don't have to practice this if you want to, but a proper child's pose is taking your knees wide and your toes together, taking your hands out, spreading them like starfish, and letting your head just come down to the mat. So child's pose, a very quieting one. It's much like turtle in a shell, where you kind of bring yourself into that quiet place. Okay? Starfish pose, reclined starfish pose, and a lot of times that can be done on the back. Okay? Taking your hands to your feet or peace fingers around your big toes and coming up in the air. Okay? Very relaxing. Anything that's done on the back can really be a relaxing pose. Okay? And I always use the term peace fingers around your big toes. It's just something, you'll develop the language that you want to use with the kids in the classroom, but I always say peace fingers. You can take your hands around the inside of your feet or the outside. Anatomically, it doesn't matter. But I always use the peace fingers around the big toes. If they have their socks on, you're going to want to, take the hands and cup them around the sides. Another one is waterfall or ragdoll or forward fold. So we did that.
The children in the classroom do it barefoot?
It depends. It really depends. That's a good question. Because when I go certain places, I have them take their shoes and socks off. If it's the first time that I've gone into a lot of classrooms, I have them leave their socks on. Because it's just a quicker way. A lot of times with kindergartners, I have them keep their socks on because it's just another thing for us to put back on afterwards. So when I'm at Holy Ghost and we do all 88 and we have the yoga mats and the full gamut, we take everything off. Well, not everything. We take our shoes and socks off. We take the shoes and the socks off and we tuck them in. It's part of our routine. But, I've been going into this kindergarten classroom and I go in once a week. So for them, I keep their socks on right now. Maybe that's something we'll work into. So it's really more of a preference of what you want to do and how much time you have. Okay, so good question. Where was I? Waterfall. Okay, so interlacing your hands up overhead. Waterfall again is another name. You're going to find the ABCs of yoga. How many of you have read that book? Yeah, they have their. It's a great book. It has a great purpose, but they call them all like, I call them fake names, but they're not fake names. They just give them different names. Where I think it's great to do that, to use their imagination, but they also should know what the actual pose is. So that's why it has the actual pose written there. So waterfall, forward fold. So forward fold coming down here. So butterfly, corpse and shavasana we're familiar with. Wide waterfall, sorry, all over the place here. Wide waterfall bend is just a wider legs coming down and then slowly coming up. Your butterfly, you're down on the floor. Everybody knows the butterfly, right? Feet come together, wrapping your feet, hands around your feet, sitting up nice and tall. You can flap your wings if you want to. With preschoolers, sometimes they like to have their wings up here or their little antenna, whatever they want to do. But butterfly. Then when you're in butterfly, also a way to add to the relaxation of that is to bring a twist into it. Anything twisting is very calming and relaxing. So taking one hand on the opposite knee and looking over your shoulder. And I always tell the kids, when you inhale, you lift your head, and when you exhale, you twist a little deeper. When we're adults, we have to watch how far we twist, don't we? And then inhale back to the center, exhale into your twist. To the other side, inhale, lift, and exhale, twist. So anything with the twisting motion, seated, on your back reclined, is very calming, very cooling. Turtle pose. Turtle is also called tortoise in the ABCs of yoga. So when you're with the younger ones, you're going to see these names more. And so knowing that they are the same pose, but taking your feet, you just angle them out slightly and then coming down into a squat. You take one set of hands underneath the other and you drop the head down. So that's your turtle. Another way that turtle is taught to kids that I've seen, it's not the actual way you do turtle, but it's a way it's taught to kids, is sliding your hands underneath and bringing yourself into a forward bend. So those are two different ways. So if you go to an adult class, the turtle is more standing with the squat, but the basic is putting your hands underneath your legs and tucking your head down. Hero is a big one with kids for focus too, but it's also for cooling, is coming up on your knees. Kids can do this better than us. For me, I can sit like this for maybe like a minute, and then I get agitated and irritated. Anybody with me on that? I just can't. It's just my feet get sore, yeah, but they can sit here forever with their hands. So they're hero pose, and they can do their mudras here. So my kiddos at Holy Ghost, I always give them the option when they do their mudras, they can be in hero pose or they can be in easy pose. So they can do either or. I allow them to do that because they're becoming, I call advanced yogis, where they can make those choices now. They can have the power to make those choices because their bodies are ready for it, and they know what their body needs. And so that's very empowering for them. So they can choose to do hero. For me, I can't sit there very long. Seated twist. Again, anything twisted. So a seated twist would be in an easy pose, doing the same thing we did with butterfly, twisting side to side. Yep. Again, inhaling on the lifting on the inhale and turning on the exhale. Okay. Good. And that's just natural, but sometimes we need to be told that. Inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Sitting frog. So that's much like your turtle. You're up here, but you're in frog. You're just right here. Actually, feet are down. You're in frog. Feet are down. Yeah. It's hard. Melting candle or plow. They call that candlestick in the ABC yoga. So your plow can be done in many different ways, and I tell this to kids so they're not intimidated by this. This is a more advanced pose. But in any yoga class that I teach, I say anybody can do any pose. It's just about how you prop yourself up. So in your plow or your candlestick, your hands are at your side. This is a fun one to try, ladies. You can lift one leg up or two. And there you are. You're in the pose. Yay! You're in studio. You can put a block underneath your legs. If you want to take it a little further, you press your hands into the floor, but your hands stay on the floor, and you lift your bottom up. That is your shoulder stand, but plow is where you flex your feet, and your feet slowly come over your head to touch the floor behind you. Oh, I love it that you're trying it. Good job. This is often where, somebody passes gas, too. And then it's like, oh, it's not a true yoga class unless that happens. So let's move over into the warming and the energizing. We need to get our bodies moving, right? So the plank pose is a very warming, energizing pose. So in yoga, the plank is always done with straight arms because of the way you come from your downward dog to your plank. So a plank is done with your hands spread like starfish. Okay, you don't want to have your hands together because then you're not grounding and dispersing the weight. You're putting too much weight into your wrist. Sometimes I get a little too technical with stuff, but it's all about safety. And when you're doing this, you're going to add something like this into your classroom. You need to know these little things, but sometimes I do get a little too technical. So spreading your hands like starfish, and then keeping your wrist, shoulder, elbow aligned. A plank can absolutely be done on your knees, but make sure your wrist, shoulder, elbow, all in a straight line. When they're like this, you're putting too much pressure on your shoulders. When they're like this, you're putting too much pressure on your wrists. So making sure that your wrist, shoulder, elbow are aligned. Knees down is a complete great option. One set of toes up is like your second option. 2 sets of toes up is your third option. Now I always say make sure your head is a natural extension of your spine. Okay, so you don't want to have your head closer to the ground or lifted too high. You want to have it a nice natural extension. Okay. Now from the plank, you can bring it into a twisted plank, and this is really good for kids. And all kids can hold this for a long time. Sometimes I'll sit there and just talk to them like this, and they'll be like, oh my God, but they can do it. They do it in gym class. It's taking one hand in the center, wrist, shoulder, elbow aligned, and bringing the legs up, or the hands up, into one side, or having them do it to the other side. And you don't have to do this with them. You can just tell them to do it, and they'll do it. Keeps them quiet, but keeps them, gets their heart rate up, keeps them moving. And then I always do a counter pose back, curl your toes under, child's pose, stretch your shoulders. And that's a good way to give them a nice break, is to make them go into plank, child's pose, and keep moving back and forth. So going from energizing to quiet, energizing to quiet. Okay, sit down. Cobra is kind of in the sun salutation. It's a lower version of the upward facing dog. So I know you guys have all been studying your cards, haven't you? So you're down on your bellies. Hands again, starfish at your shoulders. Elbows are in on the cobra, just coming up just a little bit right here. Baby cobra is down a little lower. Cobra and upward dog. Okay, those are the differences. You want to hiss, you can.
But you hold your head kind of up over instead of looking down, right?
You hold it up. Yep. Mm-hmm. Elbows in. Put your there you go. Yep. So elbows in. Yep. All right, then dolphin. Again, kids are so strong. Now planks in yoga will be done forearms when it's paired with the dolphin. So the dolphin, I think, is one of the more challenging poses. I feel that it is because it puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So when you do the dolphin, you take one hand and then you take the other around. And then you make a triangle. That's what I tell kids. You make a triangle with your elbows and your hands. Okay? Now, if you would ever go to a regular yoga teacher training, they'd never rush you through poses like this. Never, ever. But this is like your 101 to knowing when you could use these. You can look back in your manual and go, oh, that pose, I'd use that to make them energized. Okay, this is how we do it. Let's put the picture up there, have the kids do it, okay? So you're not gonna walk out of here knowing like every little place to put your shoulders and muscles you're working, but it's just a quick overview just so you know. But taking your hands like this, making the triangle, taking the triangle down, and you're on your hands and knees, wrist, shoulder, elbow, once again aligned. Then you're going to curl your toes under and lift up to like a forearm downward dog.
You're still not done with your dolphin. You walk your feet in a little bit more. Your head still stays up off the ground. You're pressing your elbows, stretching the hamstrings. Counter pose with child's pose. Stretching it. Okay, do you see how these can be so energizing? Because it gets their heart rate up, their head below their heart. It's a strong one, very strong one. Now this one also kicks up in the handstand. So if you have some kiddos who are like more advanced yogis in your classroom, and my whole thing is I'd like there to be more of them in Dubuque. And so if you start to get some of those, putting the preface like, if you do handstand in your class, it's not okay to do it in the classroom. So I always tell that to kids when I go in, like if I have you in class, it's not okay. It's not okay to just pop up into your handstand in the classroom because it's not a safe environment. So, very energizing ones. Your boat. Let's get down to that one. So you have your heels down on the floor. Try to hit a lot of them that you have in your cards so that you can pull them out and know exactly how to do it. In your boat, heels are down, chest is lifted, hands are out. Now to make it a little bit stronger, you can lift one foot up. To make it a little bit stronger, you can lift up 2 feet. To make it even stronger, you can straighten your legs. Okay, so that's your boat. And you're going to have kids who are going to be like, I could do the boat like this. So, warriors. Any of the warriors are really energizing poses. We did those last time in I Am Yoga. When we did I Stand Up for Me, I Stand Up for Others, I Stand Up for Peace. We did the Warrior 2 and the Reverse Warrior. This is the Warrior 1 and the Warrior 2. So the Warrior 1, when you stand up, again, the Warrior 1, I always say to older kids, 45-degree angle with the back foot. Or younger kids, I'll say pigeon-toed. Hips are forward. Bend in the front knee. There's one set of hands. One mudra. So I always let kids make a mudra at the top. Okay, so your Warrior 1. Warrior 2, a lot of times they don't have you transition into them because of the hips anymore. There's like a big debate in yoga right now about whether you should do that or not. So Warrior 2, your feet make a T, your arms make the letter T. That's how I help kids tell them apart. Stepping your feet out, make the letter T, but there's the bend in the knee, letter T with the arms, look over the front fingertips. Warrior 2, real energizing. This one is called surfer pose as well. Do you see why? So surfer pose. We went over the side plank. Wheel or crab. That's a very, very energizing one. That one is said like it's called an inversion. And if you do an inversion or a back bend, a lot of times they say that those are really, really energizing poses. That you can get a lot done after you do inversions. So the wheel is also known as bridge in gymnastics. Okay, so sometimes the kids know it as bridge, and crab is another way that kids do it, especially the younger kids. So crab is where they have their hands with their fingertips. It's like a tabletop, and they think they're doing the wheel, but you don't really correct them. You're like, yeah, good job, because you don't want them to really try the wheel if they're coming into this first, because that could be a little scary. But when you do the actual wheel, you're coming into a bridge, fingertips face towards your body, and you press up. And then you can walk in your feet as far as you want to. So that's your bridge. Kids will do it all the time. And they look so much better in it. Upward facing dog we went through. Pigeon is a very energizing pose. It's one where you really can concentrate too. I wonder if I have that down in concentration as well. So your pigeon pose is hard for a lot of females to do, but easier for kids to do. Females, I often give like the option of what we call recline pigeon, which I'll show you in just a little bit. And it's hard because we as females, when we get tense, we don't realize, and this is a whole nother realm of everything in yoga, is we hold so much tension in our hips. This is where we tend to gain a lot of our weight. This is where we tend to get sore, get arthritic first, is because we hold our tension here and we don't realize it. So pigeon comes for downward dog. So you're in your down dog, taking the right knee behind the right wrist, sliding the left leg back. So that's your pigeon. Now, the goal with your pigeon is to have this right leg. Do you see how my knee's like at a 45-degree angle? To have it at a 90. Molly's not that flexible. But there are some kiddos who will be. So the goal is to have it, straight across. Okay? You can stay in what we call upward pigeon, which is a really, really nice stretch. Or you can walk your hands forward and bring it into more of a quieting pose. And bring your head down. This is a really good one to watch TV in because it really releases a lot of tension in your hips. It's a really good one for you to read in, just to kind of rock back and forth and release tension. Now, if you're doing recline pigeon, let me take you out of this first. So come back into downward dog. Don't get stuck in it. It's easy to get stuck in it. And then doing it the other side. Kids will be able to pop into this so much easier than we are. Now, when you do the recline pigeon, you're on your back. So this is more of a quieting pose. Taking one ankle over the other. Stretches the same muscles, but isn't as intense. Flexing the feet. This is called recline, yeah. And then switch it to the other leg. Recline. Good.
So what are you supposed to do with this leg?
So your ankle's supposed to be in line with your wrist. So it comes up further, further, further. Yeah, good job. Woo, look
that
at
right?
you. Yes. That deserves an applause. That's
It's
really
really-
good, Paula.
It's really a lovely stretch.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It really is. It's a good one to sit in.
I always just did.
No. You always just did it like that?
Yeah.
And you really could actually do it like that? That's great. So in studio, if I were you, I would pop a block underneath your glute so that your glute is up a little bit higher. Yeah, like that.
Because that's really a lot of stretch. Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed.
People are different. This baby just born out. It's not like I worked
All right, so let's move down. We're running a little short of time, so I'm going to run down to the bottom to the cooling and concentrating. So concentration, again, just going back to the first one, is using your third eye. So finding that focal point. So do you remember the first night when we had our hands on our hips and we used our superpower stare? So let's stand up. We're all going to try this one. This is the tree. So again, finding something behind me to stare at, hands on your hips. Do you see how this can be very concentrating yet calming and cooling for the kids? Because they're becoming very focused on that spot, and you know that your bulletin boards and everything are so beautifully done that they have so much to look at, right? Especially this time of year after conferences. Your rooms are on tip-top shape right now. So putting your hands to your heart center, not taking your eyes off that spot, and then slowly shifting your weight over to the right side, again, not taking your eyes off that spot, then slowly lifting your left foot either to the inside of your ankle or up to the inside of your calf, or if you're feeling pretty savvy tonight, take it up to the inner thigh. Now again, focusing on that spot, on that spot, spot. And if you're feeling pretty excellent, you can let your tree grow and blossom and let your branches extend and come into full expression of who you truly are and where you want to be. Holding it there for 2 more deep inhales and exhales, so focused, doing so well in your tree that you're going to blossom on your math test that we're going to take just like you're blossoming with your tree. And then slowly reach forward, tickle your toes. I always have them even out their sides. Let the sacrum release. Inhale, reach your hands up high above your head. Bring them down to your heart center. And then slowly looking at that spot again, not taking your gaze off it. Shift your weight over to your left side. And then slowly, when you're ready, superpower stare, bringing that right foot up to the inside, wherever it belongs tonight. Some nights are higher than other nights.
Some nights are lower than other nights. And then letting you come into full expression of your tree, of who you truly are and where you want to be. I love it. I love it. I saw your tree. And then tickling your toes. Good. Reach up high to the sky and bring your hands to your heart center. So very concentrating. The same thing is for the Warrior 3 too, which I don't have that on here. If you want to put the Warrior 3 on here, that would be great. The Warrior 3 is the same thing. We did that 2 weeks ago as well. Hands on your hips. You want to practice that, you can. If you want to write it down, perfectly fine. Finding that spot, super power stare, looking at it, and bringing your hands to your heart center when you're ready. Slowly tilting, tipping that foot back. Tip, 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 till you come into the tree. Remember, you can kickstand that back foot down if you want to. Extending your arms all the way out into your Warrior 3. Knowing that you can be one big long line, keeping that gaze so focused, doing so well, like you're going to do on this map test we're going to take here. Then tickle your toes, reach up high to the sky, and bring your hands to your heart center, and then shifting your weight to the other side. And then when you're ready, tipping into that Warrior 3, using that focus. You're so concentrated on that spot. Your breath is so amazing. It probably could move that spot if you tried hard enough. Then tickle your toes, reach up high to the sky, and bring your hands to your heart center. Now, knowing truly with children, if you tell them, if you're not focused enough, you need to come back down to that kickstand. Or if you let them know that their breath is so powerful, it actually changes. You'll have kids going from like, whoa, 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 to getting focused again. And it really changes how strong their posture can be. So, utilizing that words and letting them know how powerful they truly are. Let's just do 2 more on the cooling and the concentrating. We're going to come into cat-cow. This is a really good one too. So down on your hands and knees for cat-cow. Really good for cooling and concentrating because it's really cooling and relaxing for the low back, but it also is very concentrating too. So spread your hands like starfish. Knees are right under your hip bones, having them aligned, wrist, shoulder, elbow aligned. So when you come into your cat, your spine arches and your head drops down. So your spine is arching. So you actually could feel like your vertebrae separating, like you're creating a little extra space and you're dropping the head down. Then come into your neutral spine. Then coming into the cow, your spine actually melts down, your bottom sticks up, kind of fans out. And then you look up towards the ceiling. So your crown is lifted, but your belly's pressing towards the floor. Hands are spread like starfish. So the flow is cat-cow. So coming into the cat, exhaling, inhaling, coming into the cow. Exhaling into cat, inhaling into cow. More time, and then come into child's pose. So you can use some cooling and concentrating poses to come into completely cooling and relaxing, like your child's pose. So much to tell you, but so little time. We're going to press pause right here. If you want to look ahead, you can. I just don't want to keep you here any later tonight. I could go on. And again, I do get a little long-winded with some of the, alignment things, but I think that's really important for you to keep yourself safe as well. So we're going to press pause right here. So somebody could mark that in their book too, because if we do have any extra time tonight, we'll come to it, or I'll put it in the notes for next week. So we'll stop right there and we'll revisit this. So knowing when you can use some of these poses, so that's great. You've been given all these pose cards, but now, and I've given you ideas last week on how to use them for brain breaks, but when is it important to use what poses? And I think that that's important to know because
You don't want them to be doing a bunch of planks and downward dogs and camel poses and all these energizing poses right before you want to have them quiet and focused and at a listening activity. So kind of knowing when it is. And if you have any questions about any, again, don't be afraid in your journals to ask those questions and verify. Okay? All right. We are going to move on to our lesson. So if you all could turn to lesson number 3, Moody Cow Meditates, in your book. It's on page 22. The name of this lesson, too, is Bringing Meditation into the Classroom. So meditation can be such a huge and intimidating word, and I know that some of you probably felt that way, coming into this, like meditation, I don't meditate, like what is meditation? But I want you to help you understand that meditation can be so easy and it can quickly change your whole day, just taking those few moments to stop, push the pause button, and quiet yourself. But what I love is how some of you are sharing, like, how prayer, like you get up and pray in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh, you were meditating all along. Yes, you were meditating. Prayer is meditation. And I love that you're sharing that. And you might find that some days when you don't put the prayer in at the beginning of the day, how your day can be different. It's the same with meditation. So just the mind clearing time and not letting all these thoughts weigh you down before you even put a foot on the floor in the morning. So that's great. I just had to put that in there. But meditation can be intimidating. So this is a way to bring meditation into the classroom without it being too intimidating. So this is the lesson that I use with kids for the first time that I bring any sort of meditation to them. And we're going to go through the lesson. We're going to start with 3 different mudras. We will use mudras in the book. So you'll learn 2, we'll do 2 in the past and then a new one. And then we are going to do our sun salutations. We'll do sun salutation A today. And then we'll go through the lesson. The lesson is a story. There's a picture of the book called Moody Cow Meditates. And it's a story about a cow named Peter. And Peter has like an awful day. And it's funny, in these meditation books, they always bring in the grandfather when things go awry. And so the grandfather comes into the story, and he teaches Peter how to make what is called a Moody Cow jar, or a meditation jar. And then tonight, after we read the story, I'm going to show you how to make the meditation jars, and then you get to make one to take home with you. And this has become the most popular lesson with the teachers so far that I've taught. Out of all the 5 lessons that I've shared, this is the lesson that I found that teachers actually take and utilize right away with kids. There is an art teacher in the district who right away, first day of school, they get all the kids, make a Moody Cow jar, and at the beginning of art class, they get out their meditation jars first thing, and they meditate with their Moody Cow jars until, she says stop, and then they put it to the side, and then they begin their art instruction. At Washington, I know they use these in the behavior rooms for their zones. So they have zones, they're red, green, yellow, and they have the Moody Cow jars matching what zones that they're in. So there's a bunch of different stories that I have of teachers utilizing this right away. So this is a really great lesson. Also a really nice one to use if you have littles at home too. Because my kids have been making these, every time. I make them every year in my yoga classes. Somewhere in, my series of classes, we'll make meditation jars. But my kids have made several of these over the year. And I always write lessons in my kids' yoga classes at the studio. And then all the teachers do those lessons all week long. So no matter what class the kiddos come to that week, they all get the same lesson. Well, 3 weeks ago, we did the Moody Cow jars. And my daughter Maria came home with her meditation jar. Did I tell you guys this story? Okay. So she came home with her meditation jar, and the next day, we're running late, and I'm like, I gotta get, because I had to go make all the meditation jars at Holy Ghost with 88 kids, and I was like, we gotta get going, we gotta get to school, and like, Maria, where are you? And it's always Maria at our house. And she's like, Mom, why do you always tell these stories about me in yoga? And so I'm like, Maria, where are you? She's like, I'm meditating. And I'm like, stop meditating and let's go. Hurry up. And she's like, Mom, did you really just say that?
seriously? But they're great tools to use when kids are anxious. I've had stories of a lot of parents tell me that they have their kids take them in their rooms and keep them by their bedstands. If they're having a bad time, they go into their rooms, they just get out their Moody Cow jars, and the parents say, do your Moody Cow jar 5 times, and then come out and see how your mood is. So I'll teach you how to use the jars after a little bit, and we're going to pair them with something called crocodile breath, which is a very cooling and calming breath to help bring kids into focus. And I've been teaching about crocodile breath probably since I just really learned about this one in January. And I had been teaching about it to my kids, like, crocodile breath, it's great. And it wasn't until May, when I was doing a program at St. Mark's with the kids after school, that I actually laid down on my belly and did crocodile breath with them, and I could not believe how relaxing it was. And so I do it all the time now. Any opportunity I get, I do the crocodile breath. So we're going to do that. Then we'll close out with a meditation. We probably will take a break while we're making a jar. So we'll take a break tonight in the middle of the lesson. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and just clear some things out of the way. And then I have the recipe in here for you if you want to make meditation jars. Okay, page 23. If you want to look at the mudras that we're going to do or review about the mudras from the past, you can turn to page 40 and 41. And sit up nice and tall in your easy pose, or since it's your 3rd class, if you want to do hero pose, you advanced yogis, go ahead and do your hero pose. The first mudra that we're going to use tonight is We Are the World. So go ahead and take your hands and curl them like spiders. We're in that Halloween season. That's what we're doing at the studio this week, is Halloween yoga. Take them and match them to each, and then bring it down to your belly button. Close your eyes and start to take deep inhales and exhales. In and out of your nose. So We Are the World is a really great mudra to use if you are feeling very connected to the people around you. If you feel a lot of love and positive energy for the people in the room and you want to spread that and you feel a part of that, We Are the World is a great mudra to use. It's also a great one to use if you're feeling really connected to the earth around you. If you feel like you've done something to make you really a part of that earth and you feel very interconnected, this is a great mudra to use. So let's take a couple deep inhales and exhales in your We Are the World mudra. Just see how you feel. So inhaling in and exhaling. Inhaling in and exhaling. And one more time. And then shake it out. Okay, shake it out. The next one we're going to use is the Lotus Mudra. And the Lotus Mudra, we talked about the story of the lotus flower last time. The lotus flower is a beautiful flower that grows in a very murky, mucky water. It can grow at the bottom of the Mississippi, and you bring it to your heart center. And it's this beautiful flower that grows from the darkest of circumstances and then comes up from the bottom of the swamp and then sits on top of the water. And it's this beautiful flower that blossoms on top of the water and just sits there so majestically. And it comes from the worst of circumstances, but it symbolizes that even from bad things, beautiful things can grow, beautiful things can happen. So spread your lotus flower fingers, but sometimes remember, we want to keep ourselves a little more private. So if we want to keep our lotus flower closed, if you want to close it and put your fingertips together, you can. Know that your flower doesn't always have to spread, that you can keep it quiet, and that's okay. So taking a few deep inhales and exhales in this lotus flower mudra, knowing that you are beautiful no matter what sorts of circumstances you have had, what you've had in your past, you know that you are a beautiful being. One more deep inhale and exhale. And then open your eyes and shake out your hands. And then the next one we're going to do is the contemplation mudra. We haven't done that one yet. Right? Okay. Contemplation mudra. So it doesn't matter which hand goes on top, but it comes to your belly button. So you're going to take one hand on top of the other and bring it to your belly button and thumbs point out. Close your eyes and start to take deep inhales and exhales in your contemplation mudra.
this is a really good one to sit in. I see kids use this one a lot. And this is a really good mudra to use if you don't know the answer to a question and you're wondering what that answer could be. This is a good one to sit in and breathe in. Because when you don't know the answer to something, you're contemplating. So when you don't know the answer to something, it might be yoga or basketball or track this year. Or is the answer 86 or 87? Taking time to pause and breathe in your contemplation mudra sometimes can bring about clarity and help you find the answers that you're looking for. So let's take a few more deep inhales and exhales in that contemplation mudra. Inhaling in and exhaling. And then opening your eyes and shaking it out. So tonight you had 3 different choices of your mudras. You had the We Are the World, the Lotus Flower, and the Contemplation. If one of those fits for you tonight, please use one of those. Otherwise, look back at the ones that we've used in the past and maybe use one of those. So at the count of 3, you're going to pick the mudra that fits your energy best tonight. 1, 2, 3. So close your eyes and spend a little time in that mudra that you chose that fits your energy, and take some deep inhales and exhales. I love that you chose the mudra that fits you. It doesn't matter what your friend or your neighbor is choosing. So take some deep inhales and exhales as you quiet your mind before we come to our practice, knowing that when we clear our minds, we make ourselves better for ourselves, for the inside, for answers to come. But we also make ourselves better for everyone we meet, all our friends on the playground, all of our teachers that we meet, and for our parents. So taking 3 deep inhales and exhales in our mudras, inhaling in and exhaling. To your heart center and bowing forth and say Namaste. And let's stand up at the forefront of our mat to get ready for our sun salutations. If you want to refer back to your sun salutations in the book, you can do that on page 16 if you want to. Now put your hands at your heart center, remembering that before we start any practice, we always set our intention for our practice, our reason for being here, whatever or whoever that might be for. So maybe it's for your mom or your dad or a friend in need. So it's like that special prayer that you send out, all that loving energy. We're going to send it a big love whoosh. So at the count of 3, we're going to press our hands out and say whoosh to our intention. You ready?
Salutation, dance for the sun.
3.
Salutation, dance
I love it that
for
you're
the
not
sun.
shy anymore.
Salutation,
So 3
dance for
times
the
through,
sun.
2 times together.
I can do it, you can do it, we can do a sun salutation. Stretch up high, hang down low, tickle your toe, feet jump back, just like a frog, belly on the ground, just like a snake. Look at the sun, now downward dog, and breathe, and breathe, feet jump up, just like a frog, hang down low, tickle your toe, stretch up high, mountain pose, stretch up high, hang down low, tickle your toes, feet jump back, just like a frog, belly on the ground, just like a snake. Look at the sun, now downward dog, and breathe, and breathe, feet jump up, just like a frog, salutation, dance for the sun. I can do it, you can do it, we can do a sun salutation, dance for the sun. Sun salutation, dance for the sun. Sun salutation, dance for the sun. I can do it, you can do it, we can do a sun salutation.
Beautiful job. So we're going to come into reading the story Moody Cow Meditates. And I'm going to read it to you. If you want to come up and see the pictures a little bit better, please feel free. Otherwise, have a seat on your mat. And again, I make the connection to literature because I feel like this story has so much to say. So I still read it to you even though you're teachers, because we love to be read to no matter how old we are, right? So this is Moody Cow Meditates, and this is Peter. And if you watch Peter's ears as you go through the story, so if anybody wants to move up, feel free. Peter's ears gets pretty heated here. Now, again, I want to tell you that if you are feeling that you need a break, remember we talked about those sorts of breaks that you need, right? I'm just kidding. So if you need to step aside and take those breaks, this is on YouTube of me reading this. So if you want to put that up, on your board for the kids, please know that this book, it's me reading it, but I'm sure if you looked on YouTube, I've never looked, but I'm sure that there are other people out there reading it. But if you want to, on my YouTube channel, which is connected to my email, there is like a 13-minute video. That's how long it takes me to read this story of me reading it. So again, it's not you reading it, it's someone else reading it, and I use my character voices too. So this is Moody Cow Meditates by Carrie Lee McLean. My name is Moody Cow. It used to be Peter, but now it's Moody Cow. It all started, it says stupid, but I say silly. It all started one silly, rotten day when everything went wrong. If you want to lay on your bellies or on your back, go ahead. First, I had a bad dream. A very bad dream, which involved a giant, three-eyed alien. What a rotten way to wake up. I wanted to find my mom to tell her about the giant, three-eyed alien, but I couldn't find her anywhere. So I admit I was in a bad mood to begin with. Then I couldn't find my skateboard, and it turned out my sister had borrowed it. Daisy, stop drawing on my skateboard. Okay, maybe I overreacted when I pulled her tail, but it was my brand new skateboard. So then Daisy had to get me back by tripping me down the stairs. What a monster. Kids are always like, oh my God, down the stairs. That made me mad. So mad that I cut all her doll's hair off on purpose.
Oh, that's bad.
Of course, I got in trouble for that, which made me miss the bus, and I had to ride my bike all the way to school in the snow. That made me really mad. On my way home from school, I hit a snowbank and scraped my knee, and there was blood everywhere. The rest of the way, I couldn't stop thinking about how my rotten day was really all Daisy's fault. She put me in a bad mood by drawing on my new skateboard. And I always say to kids here, did Daisy put him in a bad mood? And they'll be like, who puts you in a bad mood? And they'll be like, we determine our own happiness. Or maybe it was the giant three-eyed alien's fault for giving me my bad dreams. Well, whatever. I was so mad that I could not see straight. And when I turned into the driveway, I crashed into my dad's truck. I think I broke my nose. Well, you can understand that with a bloody knee and a banged up nose, I was madder than ever. Super mad. I can't take it anymore. Has anybody been there? That was me last week. Doesn't anybody pick up their laundry? And then I did something crazy. I picked up my baseball and I threw it right through the window on purpose. Unfortunately, my My mom saw the whole thing. "What on earth are you doing?" she yelled. "Have you lost your mind?" She came outside, took one look at my super mad, rotten day face, and I guess she felt sorry for me. "Aw, are you having a little moody cow day?" Of course, my sister Daisy heard the whole thing, and she started shouting, "Moody cow, Peter is a moody cow." The next thing I knew, all the kids in the neighborhood joined in. "We need grandfather," Mom said, and she picked up the phone. Check out the phone. Wonder what year this was written. Pretty soon, my grandfather was sitting in the sunroom on a meditation cushion, and I got to sit on one too. His grandfather, like the goatee too. You can see that. "I hear they're calling you Moody Cow," grandfather said and smiled. I couldn't help but smile a little. I guess Moody Cow kind of was a funny name. "See this?" he asked, and he pointed to a jar of water. "This is your mind," he said. "And these," he held out a dish of sparkles, "are all your angry thoughts." "That," I said, "is a jar of water, and those are Daisy's fairy dust sparkles." "Come on, Mr. Moody Cow, work with me here. Now what we're going to do is put a pinch of sparkles in for every angry thought that you have. Then we're going to sit here until they all settle down to the bottom. By the time the water is clear again, your anger will have settled down too." "It won't work," I told him. "Let's just see." I took a pinch of sparkles and dropped them into the water. "Which angry thought is that?" grandfather asked. "That's the three-eyed alien that tried to gobble me up last night." "Oh, I see. What a rotten way to start the day. What else?" I put in another pinch of sparkles for my next angry thought. "This is me having to clean the toilet for a whole month for breaking the window, and I hate cleaning toilets." "Me too. What else?" I put in another pinch of sparkles and said, "This is Daisy drawing on my brand new skateboard with a marker." "Oh, dear, she did that? What else?" grandfather asked. "This pinch is when I missed the bus and had to ride my bike to school in the snow." "You can ride your bike in the snow?" "I have good tires." "Anything else?" "On my way home, I scraped my knee, and I was so mad that I crashed into my dad's truck, and I think I broke my nose." "Ouch," grandfather said. "That must have hurt." "It did, and then I picked up my baseball, and I threw it through the window on purpose." "Wow, you should put in a double pinch of sparkles for that one. I guess you really did have a Moody Cow day." "I sure did." "Is that all?" asked grandfather. "Yeah, but that's a lot." Grandfather put the lid on the jar and shook it up really good. "This jar is like your mind right now," he said. "All your angry thoughts are jumping all around." "Now let's see what happens when we let your angry thoughts settle down," grandfather said, putting the mind jar down in front of me. "Just sit quietly and see what happens." I sat watching all my angry thoughts swirl around like crazy in the jar. A few thoughts started to settle down and sank to the bottom, and then a few more and a few more. It was so still I could feel my heart beating. It was so quiet I could hear my breath going in and out, in and out. I felt a golden ray of sunshine coming through the window. It warmed my back and started to melt away the last of my anger. Finally, grandfather told me that the time was over. Grandfather smiled and held up the jar. "Well, look at this. all the sparkles have settled down. And my angry thoughts have too, I said. I guess if I think about it, I could get mad again. Well, that's probably true. But we had to work pretty hard to get them settled down, so let's not get them stirred up again. I laughed. I laughed for the first time that day. This thing is cool, Grandfather. Can I keep it? Sure, said Grandfather. He smiled and handed me a jar and a dish of sparkles. A few minutes a day helps to keep the moody cow away. I laughed. Thanks, Grandfather. Can we do this again tomorrow? Of course. We can do this together every day. I went to my room and I put the mine jar on my bed, just in case the three-eyed alien ever came back again. Now it's been a whole 2 weeks and I haven't had one single moody cow day. But I decided to keep the name because I kind of like it anyway. So that is the story of Peter the Moody Cow. And what we're going to do next is we're going to make your jars. So you can take it with you. So I'm going to show you how to make them, and then I'm just going to let you go free to make your Moody Cow jar. And you're also going to take your breaks. So we're going to do like a 15-minute thing right now where you can take a break, make your Moody Cow jar, and then we're going to come back together and we're going to do the crocodile breath and then end our lesson and then take questions about it. Okay? So when you make your Moody Cow jar, the water bottles that I've started to use are the Voss water bottles. Now these, you can buy them on Amazon for a pack of 12, and they're $9.99 for an add-on on Amazon. So that's the cheapest that I found them anywhere. And I do this size. The taller ones, yeah, they would be nicer, but they are more expensive. I used to use mason jars, and I used to fill them up. But the mason jars break, and I found that out the hard way, and they splatter everywhere. At least we were outside doing them that time. And then I went to just using regular water bottles, but I didn't like the edges. And then Gatorade bottles are really nice too, but they're uneven. The Voss is really nice because when you do the crocodile breath, and you'll find this out, you can do your Moody Cow jar back and forth. So you can keep flipping it. You know, like you'd flip, I use meditation timers in my class, you know, with the bubbles. And so you can keep flipping them back and forth. So they're really nice. So this is what I found to be the best after a while of using these. So the other ones, this is a very old one that I made, but if you can see, like, you can't have it balanced that way, so it's just really nice to have it that way. So the first thing you're going to do is open up your Voss water bottle, and Voss is the best water, right? And then I give the kids a little talk about how water is oxygen, and you should drink your water. But you're going to drink your water down to the middle of the S. So you're going to take it and drink it to the middle of the S. And then you're going to come up and grab some glycerin, and these are all the same. All these glycerins are the same. And you're going to fill the water bottle up with glycerin to the top of the S. So drink your water to the middle of the S, and then glycerin to the top of the S. Then after you do the glycerin, you're going to come over and grab one little shot of soap. And you need that soap in for the sparkles. So you'll know if you forgot the soap because your sparkles won't do anything. So you just need one little dot of soap, not very much at all. So drink your water halfway to the S, then fill it with glycerin to the top of the S, and then one little drop of soap. And then once you've done that, you can close it up. You can take your stickers off. The stickers, it won't be sticky underneath. You can take your stickers off. And then you're going to want to come and get some sparkles. And you can take these back to your mat, or you can take them to a table. You can take them out in the other room. It's up to you wherever you want to take it and make your water bottle. So up here I have all different kinds of sparkles. I have in little containers, in little bags. You can share with a friend. You can have conversation while you make these. But when I use these with kids, I tell them that Moody Cow, Peter, only had one type of emotion that he worked with. And what was that emotion that he used? Anger. But we have all different types of emotions. What are some of the types of emotions that we have inside of us? Fear, sadness, happiness, nervous, joyful, anxious. So you have, or what you're going to do is you're going to put a color to
each emotion that you have. So when you look in your Moody Cow jar and you watch your thoughts settle down, you see all types of emotions. So you don't have to use your Moody Cow jar just when you're angry. You can use it sometimes if you have too much energy and your mom or dad says settle down. Maybe you have lots of anxious, joyful thoughts, so you can use your Moody Cow jar to help settle you down. So for me, I would use purple to represent joyful. That would be for me. So what I teach the kids to do is to take their purple, take the lid off, and to be very mindful as they put their purple sparkles into their jar. So looking at their purple, their joyful thoughts, taking deep inhales and exhales and thinking some joyful thoughts, giving the thoughts to that color. So thinking of some joyful things that have happened in your life, taking a moment, and then putting those purple joyful thoughts into your jar. So taking the lid off wherever you're at, whether you're in the hallway or on your mat, and putting in as much purple. I have a lot of joyful thoughts, so I'm going to put a lot of purple in there. And then putting your lid back on. And happiness. Happiness for me, I always think of as like silver, glittery. So I have these really cool ones that are like little lines. So I'm going to use that for my happy thoughts. Taking a moment to take some deep breaths, thinking about what some of those happy thoughts are before I put them in my mind jar, and then putting in as many happy thoughts as you want. And for me, what color would you have as anger? Red. That's a color that I often think of. So again, like Peter did, he thought about all his different angry thoughts before he put them into his jar. So looking at your red, taking deep inhales and exhales, and then putting in your anger. It sometimes can get mixed up with those happy and those joyful thoughts, and that's just the way life goes, right? So putting in as many emotions as you want into your jar, but being mindful of each one as you put it in there, and using a different color for each thought or emotion that you have. Then, if you want to, you can come over and get some what I call with kids bonus. And they only get the bonus if they do a job of, not making a big mess and following directions. But the bonus are little floaty things that you can put in. And I have little leaves, little hearts, little butterflies that can also stand for your emotions. Snowflakes, so if you really like winter, want to watch them kind of float to the bottom, you can do that. I also have little beads, because sometimes giving them a little bit of the sound is really nice too. So when you flip your jars, you can watch some things really fall solid really quickly, and then the sparkles take a little bit longer. It's really up to you how much bonus you want to add. And then the third thing I have over here are glitter glue. I have heard that some teachers just, when I was at my yoga teacher training, some teachers just make it with just glitter glue. I still love to watch the little pieces of glitter just fall to the bottom. That just is really magical to me. But you can put some glitter glue in there. So if you want to take the lid off, and it makes like a big, and some people don't even use the glycerin, they just use the glitter glue. But it can make this really nice, long, crazy thing that can take time going up and down. Then once you put everything in, and again, you'll know if you have everything in there because the sparkles won't float unless you have the little bit of soap in there. And again, you don't want to put a lot of soap, just like a little dab. And you shake, and you tighten it up, but not too tight because the top will pop if you make it too tight. You shake it up, and it'll make this crazy mind jar. So this is what happens to your mind when you're all over the place, when you're thinking all sorts of thoughts, not letting your mind calm. And then after you take your break, and after about 15 minutes, we'll come back together and we're going to do crocodile breath together. Now, if you want to put your name on the top, I have permanent markers up here for you to put your name on the top. And you're going to get to take these home tonight, too. So if you want to take the Voss stickers off, they won't serve you any longer after you drink your water, okay? So we're going to take 15 minutes. So I'm getting closer to 40. I need glasses. 5 after 7, we'll come back together at 5 after 7. So you're going to come up, you're just going to grab a water bottle. So either take a break first or come up and start your jar. Grab a water bottle, I have plenty up here. Then fill it with glycerin. So drink it down to the bottom of the S, or fill it middle of the S. Fill it up to glycerin to the top of the S, just a drop, and then go to town on your sparkles. You can go out in the hallway if you want to. You can go to your jar. You don't have to stand up here. Grab as much bonus as you want to. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, Shirley?
Yeah, I had babies this summer with my granddaughters, and don't get the glitter glues in the dollar store.
Really?
Because Elmer's glue doesn't work very well either. The Elmer's glitter glue doesn't
Okay.
work very well either. Yeah.
This stuff, everything I just get at Hobby Lobby because it's like a one-stop shop because I have to get it for other stuff. And I always wait for those coupons or to see those sales, because Hobby Lobby can have those really good sales. So that's a good tip, though. So do not do the dollar store, everybody. Okay? All right, go to town.
Be here when we get up.